So that is the riff from Nas's Life's a Bitch from his album Illmatic. It's a really short sample from Yearning for Your Love by the Gap Band. If you just want to play the riff, you can click the link below and download a free PDF of the score. Otherwise, I'm going to spend this video just talking through what each hand is playing and then looking at the harmony. So starting with the left hand, super simple. Thumb on E, going down to 4th on B, and then back to E again via D, and that's it. Just playing those 3 notes over and over. The rhythm is a bit different in each bar, so it's a 2-bar sample. So the rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Again, easier to see in the score if you download that. Main thing is that in the second bar, you're hitting that E a little bit earlier than in the first bar. You're hitting it a half beat ahead of the first beat of the next bar. Other thing to point out with the left hand is that you have gaps between the notes. So instead of it being continuous like this, instead you have off, off. So there's kind of space in the bass line. Looking at the right hand, we just have 2 chords. So the first one is D major in inversion. So that's D major triad. Take that A down an octave, you get D major triad in inversion. Play that with fingers 1, 2, and 4. Then in the second bar, you just have an A major triad with fingers 1, 2, and 3. And then when you get to the end of the second bar in the sample, you hit another D major triad, but this time you're going to play an A at the top with your little finger, and then you let go of that A as you hit the first beat in the next bar. So that's basically because we got a looping sample. At the end of the sample, the keyboard player was hitting an A up here, and then we jump back to the beginning of the sample where it's just this chord. So it really makes very little difference, but just for the sake of accuracy, I thought I'd include it on this tutorial, given that that's what's on the track. So that means when you're playing the right hand, you go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So on the and 1, you're letting go of that A. You play it on the and 1, and then the A comes off on the 1 on the next bar. So you're just playing these 3 notes. Tiny detail. You could just drop the A and just play this chord. Anyway, let's look at what those 2 chords are. So I mentioned that this was a D chord, that's D major triad, but the bass is not a D. This would be a straight D major chord, but instead the bass is an E. So when you're analyzing chords, you always want to analyze them relative to the bass note. In other words, like bottom up rather than top down. So let's move this E up an octave to make it easier to visualize. You have an E in the bass, but then in the right hand, we're building a triad on the note a tone below the root. So E is the root. If we go a tone down from the root, we get D, and then we're building a major triad on that D. So we have D over E. Then if we look at the chord in the next bar, that's an A major triad in the right hand, but on the left we have a B. So again, let's just move that B up an octave to make it easier to see what's going on. Once again, we're building a major triad on the note a tone below the root. So the root, the bass note is B. So if we take a B here, go down a tone, we get A. And then if we build a major triad on that A, we get the chord in the second bar. So actually the chord in bar 2 is exactly the same as the chord in bar 1. Just transposed. So here you have D over E, here you have A over B. And the only difference is this chord is an inversion to make it easier to play. So there are the 2 chords in the sample. If we want to really analyze them to death and work out why, this sounds good, why it sounds good to put a major triad a tone below the root rather than say, I don't know, if you put it a semitone below the root, it's going to sound very different. Or anywhere else. So then if we really want to analyze these chords, we can work out how these 3 notes fit an E bass note. So starting with a D, tone below the root is a 7th. then if you look at the F sharp, a tone above the root is a ninth. So that's actually a seventh and a ninth. And then a third above a ninth is going to be an 11th. So technically, instead of looking at this as D major, which is easy, you can see it as the 7th, 9th, and 11th of an E chord. Then you're going to have exactly the same thing on that B chord. So here's the octave. Octave is 8. So 1 down from 8 is 7. That's the 7th. 1 up from 8 is 9. That's the 9th of the chord. And then we're going 2 notes up from the 9th to get to the 11th. 7th, 9th, 11th. So that's why these chords sound pretty lush. Is that actually, like, they're not just straight major triads. You've got 7th, 9th, 11th, and then 7th, 9th, 11th. Or technically, as they're played in the track. This is a 11th, 7th, and 9th, and then going to 7th, 9th, 11th. That's like a super headache. I wouldn't think of these chords that way. I don't think the guy who was playing them was thinking of them that way. You can just think of it as D over E and A over B. But you know, if you're composing your own tracks or coming up with your own riffs, it can be helpful to analyze the crap out of things to understand what's going on. So there you go. That is the sample from Life's a Bitch, analyzed to death. Nas produced an album, Life is Good, 20 years later, so I guess it worked out okay for him and AZ.